just like a big extended advert?
Bill, I got recognized again.
Okay. By someone else, by a different person.
It was a different person. It wouldn't be so impressive if the same person from the first time recognized me again.
It wouldn't be very impressive at all. Although I hope he would recognize you again.
Well, it's good, and I can assure you that Mr. Clockwork Door does recognize me. Every time every time I come into to the Clockwork Door, he says hi. This is a good thing, it's a good thing. Yes, I got recognized by a different person, and there's kind of a humorous anecdote around it that I thought I'd just tell you, if that's okay.
Go for it.
So I was out drinking with some of the students one night.
Mm-hmm.
And like not heavy drinking or anything, like just like casual drinks. After
of Guinness.
Not of Guinness. And this is a key point here. Not of Guinness. There was no Guinness. Okay. There was only craft beers because we're in like a sort of like craft beery hipstery sort of place. So I don't know what these beers are.
Where?
What?
Where was it?
Around the corner from where I work.
Oh yes, of course.
So anyway, so we were there. We had some drinks. I ordered just a bottle that looked nice because I don't understand what's in it, and that was fine. Went to get a train with a friend of mine, and recognized by this guy. And unbeknownst to me, this bottle was like super beer. Like it was extremely high alcohol content beer. And it just kind of hit me, right? And like I had one drink and I was not in the best of shape, which is kind of like embarrassing. So myself and Sam was his name, had probably the most awkward conversation known to man in the train station. And so I want to bring this up and I want to apologize to Sam because I was not very entertaining. Like I barely managed to string together coherent sentences and it was just not cool. So thanks Sam for coming up and saying hi, but yeah, no bueno on Edgar's part. If anyone
don't be intimidated from doing it again if you do run into him again.
Yeah, I was just
he'll try be more coherent next time.
Definitely come up to me, but don't expect me to be brilliant at this because it's just I still find it really odd. It's a really strange dynamic. But anyhow, so after meeting Sam, it was great. We took a selfie. There's a picture on Twitter. People can go check it out. Got on the train with my friend. Went back home, right? And this was like maybe I don't know, like 12 midnight, something like that. Went up to the front door of my house. Put the key, like, no joke, like 2 millimeters into the keyhole and went, this key doesn't work in this door. I can't get into this house. Like, I convinced myself that was a thing that was happening. And so I rang up my friend and was like, can I stay in your house tonight? Because I'm locked out of my house. And then so I ended up staying in his house. And then I woke up at like 6:45 the next morning to get ready for work. And then, like, as I woke up, I was like, I'm totally able to get into my own house. So I marched out of his house, down the road into the house that I stay in, and just walked in the door. Like, the key worked fine. And it was like, not until I had coffee that morning did I kind of like fully come out of it. And I was like, that one beer, man, that one beer was crippling. Like,
how strong was it?
It was, someone told me it was like 12% or something.
Okay,
like
that's pretty strong.
Yeah, but it's still this is the problem with being.
Because if you drank it quickly and yeah.
Yeah, I did. I suppose I did drink it relatively quickly, and also it depends on like what you'd eaten. And then I'm a thin person, so I can't.
There's not much of you.
There's not much of me, so I can't handle a lot of beer at the best of times. So, but it all just hit me the wrong way, and then in the middle of it, I was recognized and had to try and hold the conversation. It just didn't work.
Was it a tasty beer?
No, it had a really, really bad taste to it. Like it was.
Yeah, I imagine it would.
A fine going down, but. Yeah, it wasn't great now. So yeah, if anyone sees me and they'd like to say hello, please come up. I promise I won't be drunk. And if but even if I am sober, just bear with me because I'm socially not the best. But I'll try my best.
Next we have on this list format decisions.
Yeah, okay, so follow up from the previous show really quickly. I'm going to make this an MP3 show from now on.
Okay, that's the not enhanced one.
Not enhanced. I'm just going to ditch the M4A. There's too many problems. Loads of people can't do it. And even with people trying different players, there were still problems. It's just MP3. We'll go basic to make sure everyone can get the show.
Okay, and the M4A can maybe be revisited at some point in the future, maybe like next season or something. You know.
Yeah, if there's some breakthrough.
If we figure out that those problems are surmountable.
Right, exactly. But for now, we'll go back to basics. And then also the plugging thing. I had to think about that, and I listened to some of the comments that were in the subreddit after the show. I think I'm going to go with your idea, Bill. The plugging thread. I actually, on second thinking over, I think it's a good idea. Just have a place where Artifexian fans can put their own projects, and if someone's interested in that, they can just go there.
Cool.
So we might do something and maybe like pin it to the top, make it like a Reddit thread and pin it to the top of the comments, something like that maybe.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah. So I think if you're okay with those two decisions, I think we should plow ahead with them.
Yep, they both sound good to me, and I trust you.
You trust me. I
trust you.
That makes one. So that's it there. So anyhow, next bit of follow-up. What do you want to talk about next?
Well, we ended the last episode on a political note, and joking that it might in fact be the very last episode if things didn't go the right way on November the 8th. And, well, we were half right, because it wasn't the very last episode, but things did not go the right way on November the 8th.
No, they didn't. What are your feelings and thoughts on this? We won't dwell on it for too long, but I think we should acknowledge it.
It's very bad. It's like I don't know where to begin. I can, without for a moment agreeing with the action. And I think that whether or not there's a lot of debate, whether all Trump supporters are racist and all that, and I think that there's an argument to be made there, but maybe it's a bit reductionist, whatever. Certainly, willingly voting in a man, for whatever reason you did vote him in, they're not relevant, that willingly voting in a man who rose to prominence after using such hateful speech against race, against women, against religion, against religions, that is a racist act, and that is a hateful, misogynistic, Islamophobic act. And that makes me very sad that happened. It has been bad for the society of America, the racist and hateful violence empowered by that victory that began like the day of the victory, that began on the 9th. And as I said, I can understand reasons that people would vote for it, because the system has failed everyone so completely, and you could be duped into thinking that this is something that will solve you if you're working class and white, and you think, well, the system no longer supports me, and this is going to change the system, and that's what I need to do. You're doing it at the expense of anyone who isn't like you, and that's a disgusting thing to do. But they've been conned. I saw a great image of Trump and the former UKIP leader Nigel Farage in a photo of them together in a golden elevator, and the headline for it was that two millionaires in a golden elevator have convinced people that they've beaten the system. Like it's you couldn't write how absurd the whole mentality behind it is, because he has no intention of really shaking up the system in favor of the working class whites that supposedly he was championing. He's appointed millionaires to cabinet positions, and he's appointed actual Wall Street shills, when that was one of the things that he accused Hillary of. He's got climate change deniers in charge of science and environment. He's put there's his VP has creationist sympathies at least. There's been talk of other creationists and science deniers being put in charge of education. Talking about getting rid of like corruption and the problems that definitely are inherent in DC, and he's appointed people to positions that they're entirely unqualified for, and their only seeming qualification is that they're married to other people who have been in that role or who have held relevant positions. And it's a great big mess.
It is. That is, I didn't expect you to talk so earnestly about it.
Sorry, yeah, no, I kind of started, I thought, how was that, like 5 minutes? I kind of started answering the question, and then about halfway through that, I was like, oh dear, I'm really going off on one here.
No.
But then I got my flow, and I didn't want to stop without making sure I'd covered all of the bases.
You did, you covered all the bases. No, I agree with everything you said. I think it's a really sad day. I think a lot of people need to learn about a concept called normalization, because like you said at the start there, most people didn't vote for him because they are racist. But there seems to be this disconnect that people don't understand that if you vote for some other reason, you're still normalizing his race talk. And this is a problem. Like, you have everywhere, like kind of like say that locker room talk, for example, like that cannot become normalized, then it becomes the norm, and that is bad for society. But people don't understand that term. That is something I think a lot of people need to learn about. Like, you can't allow that, and they've allowed it, and it's horrible.
What that vote does is saying that you can be a misogynist. You can speak about women in the way that he does. That you can speak about Muslims in the way that he does, and that you can speak about race the way that he does, and that you're still qualified, that is okay for the person to hold the highest office in the land to believe those things, that it is okay for that person, the person who believes that, to be in power. And it's grotesque. Yeah,
it's truly, it really is truly despicable. Like, I don't know, I don't want to bash like Republican voters, because my feelings about the Republican Democrat divide, but it's just, he's a real horrible, hateful man, and it's a real sad time. And 2016 has really screwed us up. Like, it's been a bad year.
Yeah, it's not been great.
And your man Pence, he's worse. He's just, he's so bad. He's so backward. And I like the science, like you mentioned, you touched on the creationist thing. The scientist, or not the scientist in me, but rather the person who loves science in me is weeping that you can have someone like that. It's just, if he's allowed to just do what he wants to do, and considering Trump is an idiot, he probably will, he's going to roll back the clock on so many advancements, and we don't want the dominant superpower in the world being led by that sort of person. It's just an absolute train wreck. But an American friend of mine, it did give me some consolation and hope. It's like, it's not 4 years of Trump. Technically, it's 2 years of Trump, because at least in 2 years you have a mild get out of jail free card, in that you can just vote on the all Democratic Congress, or whatever it is, the House, in just like block things up a little bit. So that made me feel a little bit better. Like, with the way bureaucracy works and how hard it is to get things done, you're like, okay, 2 years, can he really do all the hateful stuff he probably was planning to do? So I don't know.
And the effectiveness of that has been shown in the last couple of years with how little Obama has been able to do. I'm in no way his greatest fan, but he hasn't been able to appoint a Supreme Court judge, because he's been blocked at every step, or every attempt.
Yeah, and the Supreme Court judge, Bill, the Trump might get, like, I could get 2 in. Oh God. And it's like,
well, he only needs 1 for majority, and then GOP control every branch of government simultaneously.
And it's just like, and that's like, regardless of political where you fall, everyone knows a monopoly is not a good thing. It is not good to have entire control on one party. That's just not healthy.
And apparently every member of his proposed cabinet so far is opposed to LGBTQ rights, or has a history of being opposed to them.
It's like, I have one particular American friend who falls into some of these categories whereby, you know, their life could be made a lot harder over the next while. And that is really sad when you see on a personal level, and just kind of like, I remember I talked to this person, I was like, I'm really sorry. Just please be, well, I'm not sorry, but please be aware that there are those of us in other lands who actually care about these things still. And like, you know, so it's just really sad. It's terrible. So there you go. See, it's weird. We didn't want to talk about this too much, but we should have obviously acknowledging it. We need to do that. But it just, it's such a downer. Like, it's, so bad.
I really didn't see myself going off on one quite to that extent, so apologies. But
no, but
it just kind of
you were dead right. You were dead right. Also, I think it's worth pointing out how terrible of a candidate Hillary was to lose to Trump. Like, how incredibly unlikable that person was. You know,
I mean, I've nothing. I don't think she's any worse than anyone else who's going to be a candidate in that position. But I mean, I guess I haven't really followed her that much.
Well, I mean,
the thing to bear in mind, she's been like, she's going into that election after 25 at least years of smears from the other side. Like, she's been in the political eye for that long, and they've had that long to tear her apart. And the worst thing that they could, like, the worst thing they tried was about the emails, which wasn't nothing. They managed to make it something. They managed to make it seem like something, but really it wasn't nothing. They could have gone with all of the actual bad stuff, like, you know, her support for the drone campaigns that, you know, murdered loads of Yemeni, but, you know, it's not like the GOP are gonna stop doing that.
Oh god, it's so depressing. It's so depressing. Anyway, should we move on from this politics to what actually is a much better aspect of politics, and that would be the political discussions in our subreddit.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I mean, I knew that we had a bit of a lefty contingent among our listenership.
Poop here. Sorry.
There's sort of quite far left cohort there, but yeah, some very good discussions on the thread for AP18.
Yeah, and like I mentioned in the last show about there being no such thing as a bad political system, and someone brought up the Nazism being a bad political system. Now, usually what happens in internet threads when the word Nazi gets brought up, a all-out hate war starts. But
abandon all hope, ye who reason here.
Exactly. But I was without being patronizing at all, I was kind of like really impressed with the level of discourse on the sub. I was like, this is great. People are just talking and like being engaging and debating and sharing ideas, and no one's hating on anyone, and that is in direct conflict to what we've seen in the States. So what we need to do is we need to make Artifexia an actual country, because clearly the people who inhabit this country are much better than everyone else. Like, sorry.
I think we can allow for somewhat loose speech around that original statement you made, and that you're saying that there's nothing inherently wrong either with the fundamental of a right-wing or the fundamental of a left-wing approach to solving problems. I think that was probably, would that be slightly more like what you were getting at? Yeah,
that is exactly it. Yeah. Anyhow, but so yeah, props to the sub. Well done, sub. Really, really good.
I hope none. Here's a fun term I learned recently, actually.
Go for it.
Tanky.
Tanky.
A tanky.
Spell.
Tankie.
Tanky.
All right, hold on. Tango Alpha November Kilo Indigo
Edgar.
Hold on, I'm going to learn. I'm going to properly learn the NATO alphabet. Let's do this right.
Wait, hang on. So is this a mixture between a towel and a hanky?
Okay. Tango Alpha November Kilo India Echo. There we go. No, it's a term used among lefties, as far as I understand now. Obviously, those of you out there, correct me here. For defenders of Stalin.
Tankies. Now, why are they called tankies?
because he, in the public eye, like in kind of the international sort of communist parties, he lost a lot of support after the Soviet Union intervened in the Hungarian Revolution of, I should know this because I did refer to this in my thesis, which I think was 1956?
No,
Yes, 1956.
Yeah, you're asking the wrong person here.
And that was when Moscow sent a lot of tanks in to put down the revolution. So so people who were defending is like, no, that was the right thing to do for the sake of global socialism. Became known as tankies.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, you've just lost any tankies that are in our listenership for calling Stalin evil.
That's twice. I think I called him evil the last time as well. Or,
okay, well,
was it Stalin?
Anyone who didn't listen to the previous podcast, any tankies who didn't listen to the previous podcast, are now.
Oh God. Speaking of terms, Bill, what is this Fabianism or Fabianism you were talking about in the sub? I'm intrigued.
So, Fabianism is kind of from the late 19th century in England, or in the UK, in Britain. And it was a socialist society that later went on to be one of the kind of the founding organizations of the Labour Party, which, like, the currently existing Labour Party in the United Kingdom. And the kind of the Fabian idea was gradual reform of society, I think is the fundamental thing behind it. That rather than being socialists that were going to violently overthrow the government, they would gradually reform and improve it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And interesting thing, as far as I know, George Bernard Shaw was one of the founders.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Oh, God! It seems like a very on the fence sort of movement. It's like I will do it. We'll just take our time with it. It's okay.
Yeah, well, I think that would be one of the criticisms of the approach now, which is that you don't tend to get anywhere by asking politely for injustices to be rectified. Everyone thinks that, for example, civil rights in the 1960s was, people marched in Washington and they asked nicely, can we stop being discriminated against? But actually there was, a lot of violent clashes and people, like, rightly so, directly demanding and refusing to take part in society and disrupting society. And that goes up to and includes riots and things. And it worked to an extent, and it was, in my view, obviously the correct thing to do. Whereas I think Fabianism is criticized for having a sort of a more moderate approach. No, I'm sure they have achieved things. I don't know a lot about the history of the society. I'm sure they have achieved things, like perhaps the kind of introduction of the welfare state was kind of part of them gradually reforming society to be more fair. But that is certainly one criticism. It has also got some weirdly colonialist ideas in its history, because obviously at the time, it was founded in, I don't know, the 1880s or something, 1884. Britain was the head of a vast global empire, and part of their idea was that they would spread this British idea of gradual socialism all over the world, and they would kind of bring the light out to their colonies.
Oh, Jesus.
Which is, okay, yeah, we're going to do things right, but we're not going to address the global issue here of the colonialism and the conquering and all that bad stuff.
Oh boy, empire, man. It's not good.
Yeah, I mean, empires are terrible.
It's awful.
They get you. They mean you can build, like, cool, big, kick-ass buildings and stuff, but you've got to murder loads of people to do it. So swings and roundabouts.
Can I ask a question? Why is it called Fabianism or Fabianism? Where's that term come from?
Did know this. Is it to do with? Okay, I'm gonna throw something out here. I remember reading something along these lines, and then I'm going to check it, and you can hear me be right or wrong, live on air. I have a vague idea that it had something to do, that Fabian has something to do with, like, turtles or tortoises, and that was a symbol that they used to talk about the gradual reform.
Oh God, what?
That they would do things slowly. Now I'm gonna check. I don't know if this is right at all. Fabian Society, Fellowship of the New Life, no. Oh, way wrong. They do use a tortoise as a symbol. That's it. Yes, represents its goal of the gradual expansion of socialism. Yeah, I was right about that. But Fabius Maximus was a Roman general whose nickname was Cunctator, or the Delayer. He sought gradual victory against the Carthaginian army against Hannibal, during the Second Punic War, I think, through persistent harassment and wearing down the enemy by attrition rather than head-on battles. Okay, well, that's a pretty badass reason.
Yeah, okay, I like that. Nothing about this movement's branding makes them seem in any way appealing. They just seem so impotent. It's like everything is like every bit of branding is slow. The name implies slow. Their mandate implies slow, and it just seems really odd. It seems like a really strange movement to me.
I mean, there is a lot of nice kind of stuff there that they don't want to totally dismantle everything. That because I guess you can make a case that the status quo has a value in and of itself. That if you cause too much disruption, then it makes it hard to change anything, and strong men hold all the power, etc. And it is about kind of enlightenment and progression and stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of bad stuff mixed in with it. I only read it, I didn't know this previously, but just when I was fact checking some of this stuff, I saw a thing on Wikipedia that in the early 1900s, a lot of them supported eugenics.
Oh,
so that's poor.
Yeah, it's not great now.
And that was involved in the Australian thing of the stolen generations. Ugh. Gross.
Oh, so some really not so nice. Anywhere where there's humans, there's always not so nice stuff going on.
Oh yeah.
It's awful stuff. Except when it comes to Edgar.
Except when it comes to Artifexia, where all our citizens are... Well, I was going to say like enlightened philosopher kings, but I think that's a thing that's been co-opted by some of the nasty elements of the right on the internet, so I don't want to say that either.
I don't think we can't class ourselves rulers of Artifexia, though. That's not a thing we can do.
Does Artifexia have rulers?
I don't think so. I think
are we sort of a benevolent collective?
Commune,
a sort of a soft anarchist commune.
Yeah, I was about to say anarchy, but without all the anarchy.
Well, it depends what you mean by anarchy, Edgar, because a lot of people, I think, have misconceptions about what that actually means. It's not no social order. It's just a very kind of flat social order.
Yeah. I was playing on the sort of like the Sex Pistols images of anarchy, as in like out wanting destruction everywhere, no rules, no nothing. I fully appreciate that that's not what the anarchist movement is about. I think, Bill...
Well, some of them it is, but, not many of them.
Bill Maher. Is it Bill Maher?
Bill Maher.
Bill Maher.
That American comedian.
No, that's not him. Who's the guy who does the American politics stuff? He's the lefty guy, white hair, slicked back.
Yeah, he's a comedian.
All right, are we on about the same person?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. He
anti-vaxxer.
Is he an anti-vaxxer?
Yep.
He's an anti-vaxxer.
Yep.
That seems like a non sequitur given everything I know about him. Wow.
I kind of think of it as stuff about like anti-vaccination and GMOs and Big Pharma is the left's version of climate change denial. It's like that's kind of like the anti-science hill that some people on this side of the spectrum are going to die on.
That's bizarre. How can, like, with the stuff I've heard, I don't understand. The anti-vaccination thing, I just don't understand. There's inherent, like, extreme broken logic in that. Now, I
think it's really offensive.
Yeah, it's really bad because it assumes that, okay, we're not going to get into this, but just it assumes that, like, autism or whatever disease or whatever thing they think is going to be caused is worse than any of the myriad things that the vaccinations are protecting. It's like, oh my God, my child has autism. That is so much worse than them having measles.
Than having death.
Yeah.
From rubella.
And it's like, no, it's not though. And it's like, it's like, do you look at an autistic child in the street and look at them with utter contempt or something?
It
It's
would
like,
be better if you were dead. Is like
Yeah.
that's kind of the message I'm getting from
It's
this.
just like you know the magician, the big guy, like 6 foot something. He
Pendulette.
That's it. I'm a bit iffy on his like political things or when he speaks out about these things. But he has a great thing. He was like,
he's a sort of privileged blind libertarian.
exactly. But he has a cool thing where he's kind of like, even if it caused autism, even if it was guaranteed to cause autism, it is not death. Like, it's just like, and that like, there is inherent broken logic. Like the climate change deniers, that's a whole different kettle of fish, because it actually takes like a good understanding of science and how, like, you know, the delicate balance of the systems of Earth and how it only takes a little bit of extra human emissions to tip it, and positive feedbacks. There's all this kind of more distant stuff that you have to learn about, and it's not, you know, you aren't immediately able to appreciate it in your everyday life. But the anti-vaxxers is just a break in just fundamental like logic, and I don't understand them.
Also, as we pointed out, like compassion and humanity.
It's like, just I don't get them, and yeah. Anyhow, sorry, where were we talking about? What were we talking about? Why? How are we?
You said something about Bill Maher.
Bill Maher. Oh, yeah. Morello was on his show, who we'll talk about later. Morello was on his show, and Morello said something about anarchy, made a point about, like, he likes the anarchist movement. And Bill Maher shuts him down because Bill Maher thinks that anarchy is riots in the street all the time. And the internet didn't like that. The internet was like, someone needs to educate Bill Maher on what the anarchist movement is. And like, I don't know a lot about politics, but I know that anarchy isn't riots in the streets, like, you know. Anyhow.
There's my favorite thing I've ever seen on, I don't particularly follow Bill Maher, I haven't seen a lot of his stuff, but my favorite thing I've ever saw of his was, you know the rapper Mos Def?
No.
Okay, well, there's a rapper who used to go by Mos Def, I can't remember what his name currently is. He was on it, and he went by Mos Def at the time, as was Christopher Hitchens, who was a British and American journalist. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
Years ago? Yeah. And Hitchens referred to Mos Def as Mr. Definitely. And that's just like, I giggle every time I think of that. I just think that's so funny.
Hitch was a great dude, like.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I would disagree with him on.
Okay, yeah, but you're allowed to disagree with someone, and like, you know, and so I don't know. I think he did a lot.
He's a very interesting figure.
It's a very interesting figure. I think he did a lot for good discourse. Like, he brought to the forefront the feeble nature of the ad hominem attack, because everyone kept attacking him when he was making his comments about atheism. That what does he know? He's a drunk. And like, he educated a lot of people, including myself. Like, baby Edgar listened to this, and this is how he first learned about the ad hominem attack, and was like, oh yeah, you're not allowed to just attack the person and in their personal life and use that as a means of dismissing their argument. So like, I enjoyed listening to him debate, and I love his eloquence, and he always forms his arguments really, really well. And then when you find out that the vast majority of the time he was pissed, it's just hilarious. Like, because he was permanently drunk. Like, he was permanently drunk. He used to get up and,
I think that might be a little bit of an overstatement.
Unless he oversold it, like, unless he built up this mystique about him. But like, he's been on record as saying like, oh, he'll get up in the morning and have at least a bottle of wine before midday, like a standard.
Yeah.
And then like, so maybe he created this myth a little bit. I don't know.
I would reckon that's as part of kind of personal branding. There was a little bit of embellishment happening there.
But he certainly wasn't sober.
Oh no, he was certainly by any means an alcoholic. I think it was when Jerry Falwell died. He said both of these. One of which was, "My only regret is that there's no hell for him to burn in," which is just so, like, that is really harsh. And the other was, "If you gave him an enema, you could bury him in a matchbox." Which requires a little bit of thought to unpack, but that's pointed.
That's disgusting.
But it's also great though.
It is eloquent. It's.
But he was really in favor of the Iraq War, which is awful.
There's an awful lot of. We're really getting into this politics nonsense today, but there is an awful lot of like racism on the sort of atheist speaker front. Like
Jesus, there is
your man. Who's your man? The meditation guy. He loves himself some meditation.
I have no idea.
He's the Sam Harris.
Oh yeah.
He's like the things he says about Islam. I'm kind of like you're just being racist. Like
I mean, I think it is possible that he's not actually what we would consider a malicious person. Like he doesn't actually genuinely doesn't actually hold any ill will against individuals. But that he is just incredibly ignorant of the harm that this kind of speech does, and doesn't seem willing to make the connection between choice of religion as a reasonably free thing in a lot of the fairly secular West, and as a huge marker of identity for marginalized groups in the secular West.
Yeah. He dismissed.
That's a problem to not get that. However much you may believe that an actual belief system is harmful, and I think that belief systems should be open to critical appraisal and criticism, but you have to moderate that with not allowing it to turn into hate speech. Just maybe.
Yeah, and I think he frequently does, and he frequently dismisses any like okay, so religions are flawed, but they have value. Like there is a cultural value there is a societal value, but he just dismisses it all as being just hateful, and it's just no, that's not right.
I admit I'm not hugely familiar with him, but
no, actually, nor have I. I've listened to a couple of his lectures. I have a friend who really, really likes him and has talked to me at length about him. But yeah, I haven't done my background homework, but I have heard him speak, and I have been. I cringed inside with some of the things I said, and I was like, "That's not right. That's not right at all." Okay, right. Will we move on to the next topic, there, Bill?
Next topic. After all that heavy stuff, you've written here on the show notes. What even is Bionicle, Bill?
So there's talk about like Lego Bionicle or whatever in the
We've got a lot of Artifexian fans that seem to like Bionicle.
Yeah. Now. I didn't understand most of what's going on, but I get the impression there's more to Lego than I actually think. Like
not more to Lego, more to just specifically Bionicle.
Well, now there, see that in and of itself presents a problem for me. But like, what is this? Like,
it's a range of Lego toys with associated like cartoons and things.
There's Lego cartoons?
Edgar, there's loads of Lego cartoons. There's a Lego movie.
No, I know there's a Lego movie. Now you see. Knowing now that there is a greater Lego ecosystem puts that movie in more context for me, because when that came out, I was like, why is there a Lego movie?
Okay, but that's nothing to do with Bionicle.
So what is Bionicle?
It happens, it's kind of Lego-like, and it happens to be made by the same company. But I don't think they're compatible with regular Lego. They were like robot toys that you could assemble, I think. I know, I'm a little old for Bionicle. It was a little after my time.
Wait. So, but it's still Lego blocks, yeah?
No, I don't think so. Not really.
All right, so it's a completely separate thing, just made by.
It might be like a little bit compatible, but it's not really like it's sold as like Lego Bionicle. It's not just like along with the Lego Star Wars and other stuff. It is its own separate thing. There may be some compatibility. I can't say one way or another, but it's just like it's this other thing that they have.
Okay, so do you want to explain to me why Lego Bionicle is important when it comes to world building?
I don't really know much about it, but apparently a lot of the Artifexian fans do. I'm starting to use that like it's an actual word. Jesus Christ!
You invented the word.
I know, and I'm disgusted at myself. Apparently, a lot of our listeners do. So, I mean, I guess we'll maybe have another round of it on this episode's thread. But like, it's just. They used them and they told a story. Just like there was a story with like Action Man and any other toys you can think of, Transformers and stuff. I don't understand why you're so baffled by this.
It's an entirely different thing, though, to Transformers, because didn't the toys come after the show for Transformers?
No.
Oh, it was the other way around.
Transformers was invented to sell toys.
Oh, so they had the toy, and they went, we need more sales, so they made a cartoon around it.
As far as I know, yeah. As far as I know, the toys are at the heart of Transformers.
Okay, so it's the same thing with Bionicle. They had these range of toys, and they're like, let's come up with this greater story around it, so we ship more product?
I guess.
Okay. Is Bionicle a cartoon as well?
Yeah, I think it's a CGI cartoon.
Okay, and it's about robots.
As far as I know, yeah, but it's like it incorporates like Hawaiian mythology or stuff.
How is this not Transformers? This sounds very much like Transformers.
Because they don't transform.
Okay. All right.
And it's not set on Earth.
I must look into this. Can some Artifexian, we really are overusing that word. Can some of our listeners give Edgar a idiot's introduction?
The thread.
No, I want to hear. Well, it was a bit chaotic because I had no starting point. I was like, Lego equals blocks. That's where I was coming from. And then everyone was talking about this thing. I was like, what's going on? Oh, sorry. I thought you knew about it. I'm sorry.
There was other Lego stuff as well though. There was Lego Connects, which was kind of like a more like construction. It was based on like struts, and it was kind of like scaffolding, which I had a little bit of, and that was a little bit before Bionicle.
But why is there
a separate line, and it wasn't compatible. I'm positive it was, or at least mostly non-compatible with regular Lego.
Why did they? But there's no like world building lore with Connects.
There's also no world building lore with like lots of things.
Like what I'm trying to get at here is what's it about Bionicle that made them do this thing? It just seems, I don't know, it seems really weird. Like, I know we bring up Transformers and then that kind of nullifies my point, but it kind of seems really weird to build up an entire mythos around toys. It seems so backwards to me. Like,
does it?
Yeah, because it's kind of like, think of it like in the Star Wars sense. It's like there is a movie and then it's like, and we can sell toys. Do you know what I mean? Like, it seems weird to be like, toys, and then let's make a mythos around these toys. I don't know. It seems really kind of like, I don't know. It's just very strange. It breaks my brain. I don't understand it.
It's just like a big extended advertisement for the toys, like the entire thing.
Oh yeah, so I'll tell you what. Actually, what I do want to ask what Artifexian is the world building in this good? Is the story behind this good? I wonder how much effort they put into it to flog toys.
Well, I mean, like, you got to realize these decisions are being made by different people. You know, it's going to be someone who's going to say, okay, well, we're going to sell these toys, so we need someone to design the toys. But we're going to need to have the cartoon to sell the toys, so we're going to hire, the writers and the artists and the producers. There's no reason for the writers and the artists and the producers not to do a good job. Like, just because they're being hired for something that's just, like, fundamentally an ad for toys doesn't mean that they're going to do a job compared to if they were hired to do it for, like, the Ninja Turtles or something. They're still going to presumably try and do as good a job as they would otherwise. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I'm going to read up on this and get back to you because it's still hurting my brain. I still don't really understand it. But yeah, there you go. What even is Bionicle Bill? And I am not much clearer. Okay, shall we move on? Let's move on. The next thing on our item of follow-up is about what we look like. So this is a thing we posed in the last episode. What do those of us who have not yet gazed upon our physical forms imagined us to be like? I am so glad I asked this of people. I love this sort of stuff. Okay, so have you had a look at what our listeners think you look like? I have. I looked at them as they came up in the thread, but let's reopen this one here at least. So to give context, if this is the first link that Bill is clicking on here in the show notes, this listener said that he or she, they, believe that Bill has a beard, brown hair, and is, my favorite part of all, moderately attractive. Moderately attractive.
So not very attractive, but not ugly. And they...
right up until the last bit. I have brown hair, I do have a beard, and I'm stunning.
Of course you say that. We'll throw the links to all these in the show notes. I think that person that the listener has sent, do you want to describe this person? Do you want to paint a word picture for the audience?
I would say that's actually more black hair than brown hair. Very short on top, possibly receding.
Possibly receding.
Very, very thick eyebrows and a close but thick beard. Quite good facial hair, actually.
Yeah, quite good facial hair. The eyebrows are they're something else, really.
I mean, no, it's not a criticism. It's just like, it's not a thing I care about. It's good, strong, dark eyebrows. It's striking looking.
You don't have big, strong, dark eyebrows, though.
Do I not?
No, I don't think so. You do
Maybe
have...
I'm just jealous of them then.
That's it. You do have, or at least the last time I saw you, you do have a whopping beard, so...
It's all right. It needs a little bit of a trim at the moment.
Yeah, so does mine. But I looked at this guy and I was like, I just don't see it. I don't.
No, it's not really particularly like what I look like.
That doesn't look like Bill. Or even when I try and think of that person having your accent, I realize this whole thing is an exercise in silly frivolity, right? But when I think of that person having your accent, I'm like, no. Anyhow, there's another picture of you.
This is the drawing.
A drawing, and I believe this came from the same person who did our Stone Age artwork.
I don't think it was. Was it?
I don't know. I think it might have been. Dear listener,
hold on.
Feel free to correct us.
Well, I can check it now because I reblogged both of them. Okay, no, sorry. It looks like you're correct.
Bill,
the blog name has been changed.
I am always correct.
That's not really accurate, Edgar.
It is entirely inaccurate, actually. So we have a second image of Bill.
Second image of Bill, which is this is pretty damn accurate.
Yeah, so this is a drawing, and this thing is shockingly accurate.
It looks like this person has a ponytail. The person in the drawing, which I no longer have.
No more ponytail for Bill.
No more ponytail. About a year ago, actually. Not almost a year ago since I cut it off.
But oh really? Oh
yeah, it was on the 23rd of December, if I remember correctly.
But aside from the ponytail, this is it's obviously not like a self-portrait or anything, but it's it's really close.
Yeah, it's very, very good. Very good.
Very good.
I can see myself having this expression. My eyebrows are actually quite accurate. Having just examined my eyebrows, these are actually pretty close. In the picture, the moustache and beard link up better than mine actually do, and it's kind of beard is a little bit fuller on the cheeks than mine is. Yeah,
your beard isn't. Yeah, it's not the fullest of beards. That's not a credit.
Not up on the cheeks. Towards my chin it is, but it doesn't go high up my cheeks.
My beard, when left uncontrolled, does go really high up my cheeks.
I'm jealous.
Too high. Way too high.
High.
Yeah. There's a few renegade hairs up there that are thick enough to be spotted, and you're kind of like, Jesus, that's the outer limits of your beard. Why is it on top of your eyeball? It's awful.
I'm like, as if did you actually draw this from a picture of me, or is this just really weird? Because it's damn accurate.
But again, I think this is really fascinating how people map what they hear onto visuals. I think that's really, really interesting. But yeah, we'll put all of these pictures in the show notes. One is not like Bill. The other one effectively is Bill. We had one Edgar.
We did have one Edgar.
I'll link to a YouTube clip because this person, oddly enough, is another YouTuber. And an Irish YouTuber, that apparently. And
Pyro Puncher.
And this is that name is going to have relevance in a second. Every single time anyone posts pictures of what they think I look like, it's always a prepubescent boy or someone who looks like they're prepubescent. And it's like I am a relatively hairy man. I have long hair at the moment and a rather large beard, and I think I look quite Viking, but it's always kind of like unshaven, clean cut, 13-year-old. And I'm like, God damn. So this guy, this YouTuber who I apparently look like is exactly that, and I saw it a mile off.
Could I make a not a correction, but a sort of a clarification on the Viking thing?
Okay.
Because as you said earlier, you're slim, right? So you're not like a huge like Viking berserker, but you could be like a Viking ranger or scout or something.
Oh yeah, no, totally. Yeah, no, I wouldn't be like the barbarian type. Yeah. I think though, if I was in,
and that's no criticism of you.
No,
I think you're beautiful the way you are.
Man, I am beautiful the way I am. But
I know. That's what I think it.
Whenever I play RPGs, I always go for the archetypes that are the more slender ones. So archers, stealth people, that sort of thing.
Yeah, sneaky sniper.
Yeah, I am a sneaky sniper with currently a big beard and ninja hair. Love it. So
what game is this in?
What game is this in? Oh no, this is in real life. I have a big beard and ninja hair.
What's ninja hair, Edgar?
Like a high up, like samurai bun.
A top knot.
Is that what it's called? A top knot?
I think so.
Okay, yeah, I have a top knot.
Or a man bun. Do you have a man bun?
It is a man bun, but like I think a man bun has like connotations of hipster. I think it's a different hairstyle to like the Japanese man bun. Man bun seems to be a very distinct different thing to samurai bun.
So you don't have a hipster hairstyle?
I don't think I have a hipster hairstyle.
But you work in media and you drink craft ales.
I drink craft ales when there is no Guinness to drink, and I'm not going to be drinking craft ales ever again, lest I get locked out of my house.
Oh, sorry, you drink your craft ales when like the traditional working class beer isn't available. Oh yeah, that's totally not hipster of you.
Yeah, in many ways I think I am a hipster, but not intentionally, no, but you know.
And there's the Mac issue, but I think that's gonna come up later, so we'll revisit that towards the end of the show.
I'm so sad. We'll do it at the end of the show, but like I'm just sad. I'm very sad. Mm-hmm. Anyhow, check out the video of Pyro Puncher here. I can't see myself in this person, but apparently everyone else does. One day someone's going to be like, Edgar, this is you. And they're going to show me a picture of like Joe Sudano. And I'm going to be like, yes.
I love him.
Joe, he is one of the things that have made 2016 worth living through.
Yeah.
He's just glorious. For anyone who doesn't know, Joe Sudano is Sudano? Whatever.
A relatively new YouTuber, isn't he?
Relatively new YouTuber. His shtick is that he sings...
No. Just go look up.
No, hang on. No, I know what I'm doing here, Bill.
Sorry.
The shtick is that he does a cappella. Not a cappella, but he like does covers of famous tunes in his videos. That's his shtick. He puts them on the computer and he sings along, and they're amazing. You should go check it out.
Do you want to take that again without me interrupting you?
No, because now everyone knows that there's something else to it.
Yeah, but do you want them to?
Yeah, go for it. It's fine.
Okay.
How do you not know this guy? This guy's exploded recently. But
he's brilliant. He's
really good. Really love him. And he is part of a sort of contingent of people who do the internet correctly. In my mind, they just kind of do warts and all. You know, like he makes no attempt to like pretty himself up. He puts the camera down low. He is what he is. He's happy. He has the neck beard. At an
unflattering angle. Is weird YouTube a thing, Edgar?
Is weird YouTube?
Do you remember like weird? Do you ever hear of like weird Twitter?
No. Okay,
well, weird Twitter was sort of a. I don't know if it was like counts as comedy. And there was a tweeter or a Twitterer. I don't know what the correct noun is.
A tweeter, tweeter.
Tweeter, I think, who was called Drill, who would just like post weird stuff, and it was kind of funny, but it was also kind of built up this sort of persona, and there were other people around it. This was happening quite a while ago. This was maybe 6 or 8 years ago, and I think like the idea of weird blank has spilled over onto like weird Facebook and presumably weird Tumblr. But I'm wondering, is there a weird YouTube in the same sense?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
But then again, I'm actually not that big into YouTube. Like I watch a very select type of thing on YouTube and not much else. So I don't know. I don't think so.
since I've been like moderating the comments on the podcast like the YouTube uploads of the podcast, I've been seeing in your history like all of what you've been watching recently.
Wait, okay, now so this is actually interesting because I have those 5 YouTube channels, and I don't ever like watch something on a certain channel. I just watch whatever channel I happen to have uploaded last. So what I find is that even though I know what I'm watching collectively, whenever I log into one particular channel, it's really odd because it's only a select portion of what I watch.
Yeah.
Right? So what is it that you're seeing?
A lot of chess videos recently.
That's brilliant. That's so strange. You get to see my recommendations. It's really odd.
And then every so often, like I'll get a lot of kind of I get quite a bit of PewDiePie when I'm logged in on that, which
love PewDiePie.
I've never watched him.
It's great.
And what else? Okay, occasionally tutorials for things. So I was like, oh, I wonder, I'll just see like you watched this video, it's like how to upload whatever. I'm like, oh, I wonder what Edgar's doing with that information. I'm excited to see his next project.
How to film. How to manually expose a camera.
How to do job.
I hadn't even thought of that. Oh, actually, while you bring this up, I meant to put this in the show notes, but I forgot. Bill, dear everyone, Bill has been moderating the comments on YouTube, like he said. He has done this out of the goodness of his heart because I'm really busy and I'm finding it hard to do all the aspects of everything. And I want to say publicly thanks to Bill for doing this. And it's really cool. And you do so without any sort of like complaint or anything. You just go ahead and do it. And it's really cool. And every so often I log on, I look, and it feels really nice that like you have my back there. And it's really cool.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's my pleasure.
And also, if people want a direct hotline to Bill, the YouTube is the place to go because it will, like, the comments will always be Bill.
Oh, just like get me on Reddit where we already do all of our communicating with the fans and the emails and everything.
Yeah, something.
We never did emails yet in follow up. Is it too late to do emails in this episode? Slide them in later.
That is entirely your business, Bill. You've let the team down. I hate the way you've taken the thing and just failed. Like, awful.
All part of my plan.
All part of your plan. Well, sure, we'll plow on. If they come up, they come up. If they don't, we'll have to post them until the next show.
Sure thing.
So anyhow, that is what we look like, apparently.
And go look up John Sudano.
Look up John Sudano because he's a legend and just the best thing ever. Will we plow on? Do you think is there anything else to be said on what we look like?
I don't think so. But for anyone who didn't realize, and I think we did say this in the last episode, but there is a picture of us each on the Artifexian website, so you can go if your curiosity has been burning since AP18 came out, you can go and slake it.
Oh, and also you brought this up in the pre-show. It'd be interesting to see, is there anyone here who hasn't seen me on YouTube?
Yeah.
Is there anyone here who has just found us in audio form only?
Yeah. Do we have any listeners who haven't migrated over from Edgar's Artifexian YouTube series? Just people who are solo podcast listeners.
Because you'd imagine most people would know what I look like. So it's kind of strange to get people sending in pictures of what I look like. Like you expect it for you. But
I'm the mysterious. I'm the enigma.
Do you know
I'm the dark horse of the ensemble.
Do you know what one of my biggest mistakes on the internet was, Bill? Was not staying anonymous. I was all in for never showing my face, and then I remember doing research like way back, like after like the 4th or 5th video, and various blog posts were saying it's really important to show your face, because it endears you to the audience. And at that stage, I had 20 subscribers, and it's like I must do this to be good at the YouTube. So I put myself at the end of the video, and it was I kind of regret doing that because there's like the likes of CGB Grey and people who don't show their faces, they're kind of like a superhero. Do you know, they have a secret identity and they can walk amongst others and no one knows this. And that part of, it's rare in real life that you get to experience something so straight out of childhood that I'm really sad that I crushed it within the first 5 or 6 videos. And I honestly don't think it makes that much of a difference. Like, I think people, I don't think people would have disliked my videos if I wasn't at the end of them. I don't think that makes a difference. I think that, especially with type of videos I made, it was more about what's in the video as opposed to your mug. Like, but I didn't understand that at the start. So, what can you do?
But then, you wouldn't have been recognized twice, which, has been good. The first time you recognized it, it kind of saved the podcast.
It saved the podcast and put us here in the Clockwork Door. A little quick thing on the Clockwork Door, right?
We literally wouldn't be here today.
We'd
be somewhere else. We'd be here in a general sense.
Well, here. You might be where you are, but I wouldn't be where I am.
No, but like in a general sense, like we wouldn't like not exist. We wouldn't be dead or anything.
No.
We'd just be somewhere else.
You never know. Like we might be.
Well, I mean, it's there's no evidence to suggest that we would be.
No, that's true. Yeah. That's true. The data up until this point suggests that we would have continued on living. Speaking of the Clockwork Door, so remember I said that Mr. Clockwork Door wouldn't accept any payment from me.
Yes.
Which I'm still like, I don't know about this. Like, it's like, if freebies are great, no, but it's kind of like, I do want to pay my way and not abuse this like wonderful thing you've done. So I'm like busting my ball trying to come up with a thing that I can do to repay him. Mm-hmm. So I decided, I was like, I film promotional footage at the moment.
Yeah.
Maybe I could film promotional footage for the Clockwork Door as a favor, and like don't charge or anything. Just spend a weekend going around taking shots of people here. So I ran this by Mr. Clockwork Door before we started, and he seemed really into the thing. So what I might do, if he gives me permission, I might put that in the show notes of a future episode, just because genuinely, I'm not just saying this place is really cool and a little bit hipster. So yeah, I think people should check it out. And then like Irish people should obviously come down here. So I'm excited about that. Like, it's a kind of fun passion project I might be embarking on next week. So it's really cool.
Okay, so will we do some email follow up?
Oh yes, the long awaited emails. What's on the emails, man?
Well, we've got one email from Ryan Scott, which
Great
is
Scott.
a setting. I'm sure they've never heard that. Posted a setting suggested to them from our last episode. And they sent us a Google Doc, which I remember being posted to the thread as well. So I assume we can put that in the show notes. Mm-hmm. And the premise is it's an extremely far future setting where humanity is on the cusp of becoming a Type 4 Kardashev civilization. Mm-hmm. So that's able to use the energy output of the entire universe. Mm-hmm. And, then what do we do next kind of thing? We've reached the limit of technology. We can't go to other universes. What happens? And then something happens that there appears to be somewhere breaking the second law of thermodynamics. Energy is entering or being created. Energy is entering the universe.
Okay.
Which now, so hyper sci-fi is like really, really, really sci-fi. I think could be quite a fun idea. Because it kind of frees you from constraints about what you're, what is actually plausible and things. You can just say, no, technology has solved that. In a way, I suppose it can often just turn out being kind of like science fantasy. But that's not really the impression I'm getting from this here. So yeah, the result of the anomaly spewing energy into the universe is that it's changing the curvature of the universe. So you know how there's a thing like, the universe is expanding and it has a curved shape and etc. Yeah. So this is impacting on that. And also that there are different areas in the universe where, for example, there are areas of the universe where only one-dimensional motion is possible, or only two-dimensional motion, where the third dimension can't be accessed or doesn't exist.
Huh.
Now, I'm not really sure what to think about that. I'll come back to that one in a moment. And then there's also 4- and 5-dimensional pockets. So in the 4th dimensional, if you were able to get into that pocket and exit, you would be temporarily displaced.
Okay.
And so on. It kind of builds up on that. Which is pretty interesting. That's kind of a cool idea for stuff to have in a story. So yeah, we'll throw this in the show notes so we can see what people think. There's some cool ideas there. Think about one-dimensional pockets, or two-dimensional pockets. And this is not a criticism so much as it's kind of food for thought. I can't quite wrap my head around how that would work.
Elucidate.
How? Well, okay. So if there's an area of the universe that only exists in 2 dimensions,
yeah,
right? What if you're above it? How do you get above it? Like, for an area to exist that is only in 2 dimensions, that would mean, logically, it would seem to mean that everything would have to be in 2 dimensions.
Yeah, okay, so I suppose the only way of doing that is to stop an observer seeing it from above. Like, if you stop the perception of a 3rd dimension, does that make it a de facto 2nd dimension? Or 2 dimension? So, like, maybe this thing that's impacting on the universe, expanding into it, is like doing something with how, like, light works in that area, so you can't perceive it in the 3rd. So like, you can enter it in, and your experience is like being in 2D space, but because of how it's curved, you can't, from outside the pocket, you can't see into the pocket. Does that make sense? It's just like a void. It's like data loss. You can't observe it. Therefore, you can't say it's 3-dimensional. No.
I guess. But that just means that there's like not a plane, but like I say, a 2-dimensional segment that you can't move through. You can move around it, but there's like, let's just say there's a page, a sheet of paper kind of sized area, and this is the 2-dimensional pocket. And you can move within 2 dimensions inside that, but you can't go through it in the 3rd dimension. You can't there's a word for this, trans something else. This is the only way I could see to make sense. You can approach it in the plane that it exists in, like the mathematical plane that exists in, and enter it that way. And obviously you can't actually do that if you're 3 dimensions, which is something that Ryan does note here, that he just assumes that life forms would die when they enter those areas. But how do you enter that area is kind of the thing.
Okay, hold on. Wait, okay, everyone stop, right? What happens if we have... Okay, so like, do you assume a sheet of paper is a 3-dimensional object, yes?
Okay, yeah, but let's say, like, okay, the surface, it corresponds to the surface of a sheet of paper, which is a 2-dimensional concept.
Right, but what I mean is, like, could we think of a sheet of paper as being functionally 2-dimensional in a 3-dimensional world?
Yeah, let's say yes.
So what happens if this universe, if we imagine this universe is like a stress ball? You know the stress balls?
I think so.
Yeah, they're like little balls you hold in your hand, and you put pressure on them to alleviate
stress. They cause you stress, yeah.
And they cause you stress. But like, imagine if you were to like pinch one end of it, yeah? Right. And pinch it so much that you crush 3D space down into what is functionally 2D space. That would be a way of doing it. So
it's kind of like a 2-dimensional extrusion from a 3-dimensional bubble.
Right, exactly, yeah, exactly. And such that, like, it is kind of 3D, except that you're just making the 3D trivial. You're making the 3rd dimension trivial. And thus, you will be able to approach it, like you said, exactly in line with the plane. Like, you can't come from above or below because that's outside of the universe. But you can come at it if you're exactly in line with the plane.
Okay,
but you would totally die. Name of the emailer again? Ryan. Just like Ryan says, you totally die. Like if we're going to compact 3 dimensions down to the 3rd dimension down to almost nothing, anyone going in is just going to it's going to be total no bueno.
Yeah, but anyway, that's an interesting concept, and I would like to see how it's actually dealt with in the premise of a story, or in the premise of world building. What happens there? I
don't know if we've talked about this before, but one of the things that I found out when I was very young that always blew my mind, and still kind of does, because for nostalgia reasons, is that in a 2-dimensional universe, like you can't have like
a 3-dimensional man is king. No, sorry, that's a different proverb. Never mind.
In a 2-dimensional universe, humans, in quotes, can't have digestive tracts like we do, because you'd like fall apart. And like I realized that that's not mind blowing, but I found this out when I was a young kid, and I was like, "Huh, that's awesome. That's really cool."
What do you mean?
Like we can't have an open, like in a way, our mouth is open, and there's an open passage going all the way down to our buttocks, our gluteus maximus. In a 2-dimensional universe, if you had that tube, you'd sever the person in half. If there's no third dimension.
I guess, yeah.
what do you mean, I guess? I mean, that's totally what happened, like.
I mean, it's just like that's your problem with a human being in a 2-dimensional. I think there's more pressing issues as well, but other than that. Like...
No. Okay, here. World building challenge. Someone redesigned the human digestive tract such that it can function in a 2-dimensional universe. I think that's really interesting. Really interesting.
Well, do it like bacteria do it, where they just like extrude a part of themselves around the thing they wish to digest.
Oh, very good. I was thinking more like it is a transient opening, like as in like you're like a little bit opens for your mouth and the food goes in, and then the front part closes in on itself. Like there constantly is a hinge, and it like the hinge travels down as it goes down.
Or they just use all of what is taken in, or they just use a single opening for all functions.
They just use a single opening for all functions. Yeah, could well be. Yeah, could well be. Still, I think it's interesting. I realize it's not the most pressing thing. But I always found it out when I was very young, and I was always like, mind blown. In any case, so hold on, back to Ryan's setting here. So we have this universe, and energy is being put into the system, and all these weird anomalous regions are being caused by this. As a result of this, does he mention a story? What's the story here? Why?
Well, no, there isn't a story. It's a setting rather than a story.
Oh, okay. So there's yet to be a story in it. Clearly, the story has to be then these humans of their galactic, their type 4 universal thing. Clearly, they're going to have to figure out what's causing this, and this has got to be a multiverse story. I'm assuming this is a multiverse story.
See, there's. I think it would be very hard to convincingly write something where humanity is type 4, because it's so like utterly beyond our ken. Yeah. Like, you know, can a type 4 civilization be meaningfully identified with and are identified as human? That would be a good challenge.
Yeah.
For me, I would just say I would just say that is beyond my powers.
Well, explain. Keep explaining why. What is it that is stopping you from being able to like make them empathetic and something you can relate to? Because I mean, with that level of power, you're no longer. It just seems like you're no longer really meaningfully human when a society has that much. How powerful must the individuals within that be? We're humble. We have the power to send spacecraft off to distant worlds, but that's not to say that each individual person here has their own spacecraft and has access to that. Like, can't you be a type 4 civilization, but your society is extremely, say, segregated or something, such that the people don't feel this?
It seems unlikely to me.
Okay.
It seems that like without a civilization that would have that amount of power, that you could have anything relatable even in any of the members, any of the individual units within that grouping.
Okay, I agree with you, but I'm just like devil's advocate. Could we not say the same thing is possible of our society today? Like, imagine a Stone Age person writing a story, say, and
it's a much vaster gulf, though.
Is it from stone?
Oh, yes.
From stone to I don't know. Well, I would hardly call our golf trivial. Like trivial to the point where it's like easy to hand wave over. Like it's.
No, I would never say that either.
Okay, no, that's right.
I just think this is like orders of magnitude beyond orders of magnitude beyond. Comparable.
I actually do disagree about the stratification of society. I think you could. I think you definitely could construct a type 4 civilization, and you just have a lot of people marginalized in that. And
but like the issues of like, being a marginalized person in a Type 4 civilization are so vastly different to being a marginalized person
Right.
in, like, now, or to being anybody now, or to being, like, anybody, like, in the 18th century. Like, they're just so... I think dealing with concepts on that scale is just too big to be really, really meaningful for us.
Okay.
And I would love to see it done. I would love to see, like, someone's attempt at it and how they would take on that challenge. I think it could be really cool.
Where is your cutoff? Like, at what point does your brain go, I can still relate to this, but then you start, and at what point do you worry that it's gone too far?
I don't have an empirical answer for that.
Okay. Yeah, fair. That's a valid retort. That's a cool setting, though. I like that setting. I find anything with n-dimensional space to be mind-boggling and hard to understand personally. So, I mean, I wouldn't be worried about the kardashev thing. I'd be worried about that. Trying to write that, if that's doable. If Ryan, you were up to that challenge, that's great. But geez,
there is. You might enjoy, and this is actually something that I was slightly reminded of in Ryan's premise. You might enjoy the novel Accession by Ian Banks.
Okay.
Which I'm sure I've talked about before. You know the Culture series?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of the Culture books. It's actually the first one I read in the Culture series. And I'd say it's probably my favourite. Or at least it has a good chance at being. And it never really explains what the thing that occurs in the book is. But there is... It is certainly open to be interpreted. Maybe even... I'd say you could pretty much say it's intended that this hugely advanced civilization, like that we see in the Culture books, is encountering something beyond their ken.
Okay.
And that it's really interesting. It's like, he actually brings this up in the novel. He uses a term called outside context problem. And I think he might have written an essay on this topic as well. But the example of an outside context problem is, so you're a civilization on a nice island somewhere, and you've got a bit of agriculture, and you've either assimilated or destroyed your neighbors and rivals on the island, and everything is running along smoothly. And you've got your bit of tech and things are fine, and then after everything being pretty peaceful for a while, these guys turn up with an iron ship, and they wear funny clothes, and their skin is the wrong color, and they want to tell you all about this Jesus guy. And your civilization that exists has no concept of how to deal with this, because it's a problem that is entirely outside your concept, or outside your context. And he actually I think he came up with this when playing, the Civilization computer games.
Yeah.
Because he would occasionally have that exact thing. Like, he was away in his own corner of the world, and things were ticking over nicely, and he was discovering his technology tree, and then some other player who was on the other side of the map, who had just, blitzed through the tech tree, would turn up with tanks. And there was nothing you could do about it, because you had no context in which to engage with that. And that's kind of what one of the things that Accession is about, is what happens when a culture, in this case the culture, encounters something that has no capability to grasp.
That's interesting.
And obviously that's a bit beyond. I mean, obviously, if you're an island civilization somewhere and Europeans come to genocide you, that's not exactly outside your grasp. He's taken it a bit further and put it into this society that is already completely beyond our capabilities. Yeah, it's great. It's a really good book.
That's interesting. It's avoiding the thing about trying to write from that perspective. It's just it addresses the inherent problem in that.
Yeah.
By going around it, which I think that's really interesting. That's very interesting. I'll put that on the books to read list. I've soaked up this month's book by purchasing Ender's Game. I'm going to read that this month.
Oh, cool.
I haven't read that before. I don't say anything. Don't want to say anything. I know nothing about this book other than it is on many lists. So
it is a book.
It is a book.
It is definitely a book.
It apparently falls into the sci-fi genre. That is all I know. And that is great. And I'm really happy. But yeah, but next month, that sounds really interesting. That'd be an interesting read. And I've been meaning to get into Banks. Like I know about him through my world building, but I haven't read his books.
I've been told that that's not a great introduction to the series because it kind of goes just straight in on a lot of topics. But I quite like that in novels. And it was the first one I read, and I was pretty young when I read it.
As long as I'm able to follow. As long as you're able to follow, I don't think it's that bad. Anyways, anything else in the emails?
We have 2 emails from Chikiko Sotome. Which is one is just saying thank you very much for the podcast.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, actually, sorry, there is another one. And the point of this first email, which is how interesting they found the ideas for the diacritic vowel in your conlang. So this is from your YouTube videos, I assume, or?
Oh yeah.
Diacritics in the podcast. Sorry,
we
it's
did.
been a while since I've. Okay.
We did. I remember
that. Basically, I've been working on a conlang for ages that uses a similar system. There's a mark about the corners of the consonant character are directly above it to indicate the vowel, of which I have about 11, including diphthongs. So it's amazing to hear someone come up with a similar system.
Great minds. Great minds.
And your videos greatly influenced me to revise various aspects of my conlang, including some of its writing system. So I used some of that influence to help shape at least one of my revised characters. So thank you very much for everything. I truly appreciate all that you do.
Send us in a picture. Email us a picture
of the script.
Yeah. Write something.
Yes, actually, please.
Yeah, write something in your script and send it in.
And if you have any questions you need answered for a topic in general, they have a degree in both computers and medical lab science. So feel free to ask. That's pretty great.
That right there is a wise person. Got involved in STEM areas. Us in our liberal arts.
Music.
Jesus.
Name
of the emailer again.
They sign off as Saki. And it says Chikiko at the top. Which is the name I've seen on the subreddit as well. I think you've posted on the subreddit under that name. So
is this a female?
The avatar, it looks like a woman. Yeah, I don't know if that is them.
The name sounds like it's female. I have a question about gender on this.
Okay.
Stop me if this is controversial, but it's a thing that I've been meaning to ask for a while. Why is it that world building is predominantly a male-driven thing? And I say this because looking at the data from the world building subreddit and my own YouTube channel, it seems to be just men all the time, to the point where it's when a girl shows up and has done some world building, I'm like, yes, finally! Why isn't this happening more often? Like, it's weird. Do you have any idea as to why this is?
I think a lot of we can safely say that it's a pretty nerdy, or at least nerd adjacent hobby, right?
Oh yeah, no, that goes without saying.
I think nerd communities often do tend towards masculinity, regardless of the actual interest of people involved. I think the way that a lot of the kind of communities are structured tends to tend towards it being dudes rather than it being.
Because I
could be wrong on that, but that's just the impression I get.
I always feel like, I always feel kind of bad, like, because it's like 90-10 split, and I'm like, lads, literally. It's just, I don't know, it's just it's very strange. And like, because I remember a person inside YouTube went through my channel's data one time, and they commented on the fact that the gender split of my channel is highly unusual. Like, most YouTube things you'll have, unless of course it's geared specifically to one gender, like for example, like makeup videos will be predominantly aimed towards women. There will obviously be some men viewers, but predominantly they will have women things. But for a ostensibly non-gendered channel, you would tend to have somewhere in the ballpark of 50-50. So to have, I think last time I checked, mine was 90-10. I remember the person commenting being like, that's really irregular. And ever since that day, I was like, why is that? Like, and it's not like as well, we don't have, I realize we don't have an abundance of female role models in, say, like novels and things like that, but we do have them. Like, you do have J.K. Rowling, Ursula, what's Ursula Gwynn?
Ursula K. Le Guin, yeah.
Temeraire,
Naomi
Watts, Naomi Novik. So there's a couple of big figures there. It seems, I don't know, more girls need to world build, like, stop, I don't know. I had gender equality, that thing.
Anyway, the other email.
Yes, I'm sorry, the other email.
Is about our accents.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, what about the accents?
We've heard 3 different people on the podcast. So this is Chiquiko again. We've heard 3 different people on the podcast so far. And each of you seems to have a different accent, which is especially odd, since the third was my brother. We're in Ireland, so we're all speaking with Irish accents, but we seem to each have our own sub-accent.
A dialect, yeah. We each have our own dialect. Do you and... Oh, yeah, no, you and Rory really do have 2 different accents.
Do we?
Yeah. No, yeah, you do. You definitely do.
I got mistaken for an American yesterday.
What? How?
By my accent. Someone in my hometown. I was in Carlow and someone mistook me for American.
No way.
Yeah, it was really weird.
You don't sound even slightly American.
I don't think I do.
I regularly mistake people from Eastern Europe for being American when they speak English. And when I say Eastern Europe, I mean like draw a line from Greece all the way up and everything east of that, I mistake.
Weird.
Yeah, like the
including Greece.
Including Greece. The MC at TEDx was Greek. And the entire time through talking with the TED team on Skype, I was convinced he was American. And I went up and said, "What part of America are you from?" And he's like, "I'm Greek." I was like, "No, you're Greek." I don't know what it is. It's something. Maybe this is a sort of damning indictment on globalization, but because I think a lot of people learn their English from telly.
Yeah,
and I think there is a prevalence of the American accent from people who learn English as a second language. So I don't know if that's the case, but certainly you don't have an American accent. There's no way anyone should really mistake you for being American.
In my hometown as well, like
it's weird. It's very strange. But yes, dear emailer, we all have our own accents, definitely, yeah. And this is the cool thing about Ireland. It's such a tiny place, but we have like off the top of my head, I think I could list about 7 or 8 different dialects or different accents.
Yeah.
Whereas,
I mean, like there's at least 2 in Dublin. There are 2 very clearly different accents
in one city,
Dublin.
in one not so large city, in one city
divided by mostly geography, class to an extent as well.
Yeah, we have one accent on the north side of the river in Dublin and an entirely different accent on the south side. There's obviously some variance and some spillover, but it predominantly goes like that. But and again, to put this in context for non-Irish people, that a city of 1 million-ish people, and you have 2 distinct accents, like it's just crazy.
There's, I mean, you can figure out the difference between people from like Ulster accents speaking English can be quite different. Like Belfast can be quite different to Donegal and Derry. Yeah,
so that's again for the context for people who don't know Ireland. The northeast has a very different accent to the northwest of the island.
They're both identifiably similar. Like to my ear, they're both identifiably like
they're related.
Northern, they're Ulster accents, but there's a distinction between them as well. And then you've got like there's loads of different accents. In the country.
In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to link you to a video that goes through in a kind of fun way about maybe 5 or 6 of those accents. Non-Irish people, check it out, because I guarantee you at least one of them you're going to be completely baffled by. Because I don't think people expect, the Limerick accent, Bill. Like, I don't think people expect the Limerick accent to exist, because I don't think it's an accent that people are exposed to very often. There are a couple
Which is why the Rubber Bandits need to be way more famous.
This is true. I'll link to some Rubber Bandit stuff as well. They're great. Just no context for anyone else. Just I'm going to put a Rubber Bandits video in there and be fine. But yeah, we all have our own little sub-accents. I will point out, though, that at least on my part, I do not talk like how I should. From my area, I kind of decidedly did not want to adopt that accent. And
you don't talk like a German Arab.
I Yes, I do not talk like a German Arab. No, I don't talk like someone from the northwest of Ireland. I decided that that was not a good accent to have, and I made sure I didn't adopt it.
You decided?
Yeah, I was like, I'm not saying stop all the time. Like, I'm not doing that. The word is stop. It will remain stop. I'm not going, stop. That's not English.
Do they say hi up around your way at the end of sentences?
Hi?
Yeah, like, I don't know, it's a bit of a stereotype, and I never encountered it until the Hardy books. They put it, like, they do it in the Hardy books a lot, which is, a series that's set roughly up around Edgar's area, Edgar's home area.
Roughly.
And yeah, it'll be like a kind of a meaningless interjection at the end of a sentence.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, a meaningless interjection at the end of the sentence, hi?
Oh, no, we don't do that. No,
Okay.
or at least I've never adopted that. I have to look out. Yeah, and like bigod, I never adopted the word bigod.
Yeah.
That's a silly word. Like, so I do not talk like the locals, and I'm kind of proud of that. I'm kind of proud that I've adopted a somewhat neutral Irish accent. But I've obviously haven't been able to eradicate such things as not pronouncing THs, because that's borderline impossible.
I don't think I have a particularly like specifically Carlo accent, but I do have a bit more of one, like when I'm with some of my friends.
Yeah, when I go home, exact same thing.
Yeah.
Couple of days at home, and I begin to adopt it, and I have to fight it off. But then when I go back here, I'm able to just it goes away. You do say the word "one" though, and it's very funny. One.
I got
two,
relentlessly
three.
mocked over this when I was in college with Edgar, listeners.
But it's like it's ONE, not WON. One.
The integer between 0 and 2, I apparently pronounce as though it's written WAN.
One.
I do say Quare quite a lot though.
Quare. Do you want to explain to people what Quare is? Spelt like square, but without the S. Am I right?
Yeah. Well, when it is spelt, it's not one that but like it doesn't turn up a lot in written language.
So what is Quare?
How long of an answer do you want here? I guess the short answer is that it's queer, as in strange. Then change, like the vowel changed dialectically to be quare, and it's used to mean very.
It's used to mean very.
Yeah.
So it's like I was queer happy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a legitimate usage of that word.
Yeah.
Oh,
What did you think it meant?
I thought it just meant strange.
No, God no.
As in, like,
It's
you'd be
in
like,
fact almost never used like that.
oh, I thought it was like, the weather is fierce queer today. It's like the weather is really strange.
It's
Or
certainly not normally, and not around me. Maybe in other parts, because it's used a lot in Wexford as well. And I think it might be somehow actually like because Wexford used to have areas that spoke a separate language again that wasn't Irish or English. I don't know whether it's related to that somehow.
Oh, huh.
Yeah, have we not talked about that?
No? There's another language?
Yeah, I think it was called Yola.
Yola! That's hilarious.
The Yola language.
Yola.
Maybe that wasn't it. Oh yeah. So it was kind of like a Norman version of English, I think, that persisted until quite late. Like from medieval times up until sometime in the 1800s.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah. And it was like restricted to quite a small area of Wexford, as far as I know. And there was a language based around Finglas, which is in North Dublin. I guess it's part of the city now. I think at the time it would have been outside the city bounds. Mm-hmm. But there was like Fingalese or Fingalian or something, which was related to Yola as well. And it was like this little pocket that had not a dialect of English further removed from English than that, but a kind of an Anglic sort of language that persisted up until sometime in the 1800s, as far as I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea. God, again, this little island just it continues to throw up surprises. Like, there
Well,
shouldn't
you see,
be...
this is actually quite common. Like, for like over most of the world, up until very, very recent times, languages were hugely diverse. I mean, like, in Italy now, Italy's really interesting because it has kept most of its regional languages. Some of them would be described as dialects of Italian, some of them are definitely not, and some of them some people say they are, and the speakers say, no, we're a separate language. But, like, while, like, standardized Italian does exist and most people speak it, the natural speech of people from, say, like, Genoa and the people from Naples are very different.
Yeah, I suppose because we're an island, I always think it should be different. You know, like one group show up and then that they just proliferate and they become the norm.
Yeah.
But no, that's interesting. I literally know that. I'm genuinely going to look this up afterwards. Yola. There
The
you go.
Yola language, yeah.
Yola language.
Yeah.
Huh. There you go. That was Quare interesting altogether.
Exactly. Queer pure interesting.
Quare pure interesting. Oh boy. Also, non-Irish listeners, it's worth Googling Irish isms. It's worth checking out those wonderful words that we use to describe things. I think we're very eloquent people. Like, we love our language. We love coming up with a multitude of terms for even the most mundane thing in the world. And I fully endorse it. I think it's beautiful. I think it's great. And we're not going to do it here, but particularly when it comes to swearing. We're really good at swearing. And we have, like, way too many swear words than is necessary. And they're great. I love them. They get so creative sometimes. And like it's gone from a place where it's like you're trying to be mean to a person. It's basically what it is. It's a linguistic bout between two people. It's fantastic. Anyhow, moving on. What else is on the agenda?
That's the emails taken care of.
Hey!
So now Music Corner is the next item I have here.
Music Corner. How was Music Corner for you, Bill?
I'm going to make a small confession, Edgar.
Only a small one.
I don't know that I listened to the right thing.
So what?
I looked up Tom Morello, The Night Watchman, on Spotify, and I listened to one of the albums, but it was not the album that was actually selected, and I'm extremely sorry to the listener who suggested Tom Morello. I will find the correct one, and I will listen to it, but unfortunately today is not that day.
I will find it, and I will kill it.
I have a very particular set of skills.
Those skills do not extend to finding the correct album.
But when I do find the correct album, I'll absolutely listen the hell out of it.
Okay, so we were meant to listen to Tom Morello's The Night Watchman.
Yes.
I am... no, that's wrong. We're meant to listen to The Night Watchman, that's the name of Tom Morello's thing, and the album was One Man Revolution.
Yes.
I'm assuming, though, if you listen to any of his albums, I'm assuming you're going to get a fairly similar thing.
I'm sure they'll be broadly similar,
yeah. I don't think they're going to change much. Any thoughts on the album you listened to?
You can tell that Tom Morello is in the... He's very much being in the tradition of people like Woody Guthrie. To a lesser extent, maybe like Bob Dylan and kind of protest music of the 1960s. There's something kind of Springsteenian about it as well.
Yeah.
I wasn't mad about it. The album I listened to had a cover of 16 Tons, which I think is an absolutely marvelous song. I really, really like 16 Tons.
Who was it by originally?
I don't know. But you know the song I mean?
No.
You load 16 tons. What do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt.
No, I never heard that before.
You've never heard that? Oh man, it's amazing.
Never heard it before.
It's basically a song about being a miner.
Yeah, I figured
how exploited they were. That like they worked and they just got deeper and deeper in debt because of how the mining companies set everything up to exploit them. It's a really good song. I like it a lot. And I quite enjoyed the cover of that, but that's because I think it's quite a strong song. I'm not sure I have the right musical context to appreciate this kind of American sort of populist folk stuff.
I feel like this is a comment that's going to come up an awful lot, where it's like we don't quite understand the context of this thing. I think I've said that twice for albums.
Yeah, which I mean, it's good. It's a lesson in our own kind of ignorance, and to combat our potential hubris. I find a lot of it musically kind of uninteresting. Like, there's not a lot musically happening.
Yes.
Or that it's quite like, I mean, a lot of the stuff I just think is really cheesy. Like it also had a cover of "This Land Is Your Land, This Land Is My Land."
Yeah.
And you know, I appreciate the thing behind that. You know, that was a Woody Guthrie song, and it was about like solidarity and stuff. And like, Woody Guthrie's a cool dude, like a really cool dude, really interesting person, interesting story. I just don't really like his music all that much, which is a shame.
Yeah.
So I think it needs a bit more. Like, as I said, it was kind of something kind of Springsteenian about it, but I don't really get Springsteen all that much either.
Yeah, nor do I. I'm on a similar. No, actually, no. I'm more against this than you are. I just didn't like it. I didn't like. I like maybe because I went from Morello the visionary to Morello the guy playing guitar, and that kind of bugged me. Like, it was just. Yeah, the music was just like, it was one dimensional. It was like there's a guitar and a guy singing, and I get that has an appeal. Like, it's like stripped back to basics, raw, that sort of thing. But it does lead to, I think, rather bland music. And I don't like political music.
Really?
I'm not a sort of grab your guitar, get out in the street, everyone chant in solidarity, like that sort of thing. I'm more of a person who, if I want to have political change, I will vote quietly. I'm not like I don't get roused by it. Like, so many on the Night Watchman, there's a lot of songs where it's like, I can't remember the exact one, but there's one where he basically calls out various disadvantaged groups in such a way that every time a member of that group heard it, they would get enthused, you know what I mean? And you could build up, and it all builds up in a crescendo, and everyone's meant to be like, yeah, change at the end. I just don't engage with that at all. I can't, and there's nothing like interesting in that for me, really. I totally get why people love political stuff like this, and if that's your prerogative, go for it. Like, that's brilliant. But yeah, I'm a silent political change, and I disagree fundamentally with Morello's outlook that you have to talk about political change in your occupation. Like, he's on record as saying that. In your occupation, you must be an activist for political change, and I disagree with that. And I, as such, I didn't really like listening to this album. I actually spent an awful lot of time listening to Rage Against the Machine. Because I just didn't get it, and I'm not really well versed in that sort of folk protest music you talked about. Maybe if I was, this would be more engaging to me, but I didn't dig it. So I'm sorry. I feel really bad for the listeners, because like you mentioned in the last one, it's like, what's our next victim? And after you mentioned it, I was like, oh god, we're tearing apart what people like.
Well, I've not really, like, what else have I disliked? I haven't, because I didn't like one of the first Electro album we had, but I've been pretty on board with everything else. Yeah,
what have I torn apart? I've definitely torn apart something. Because I'm usually a I hate it or I love it sort of guy. I'm hardly ever kind of like, meh. That's not really Edgar. But yeah, I suppose it's not about tearing the album apart or anything. It's about dialogue and stuff. And it's about an opportunity to find new stuff as well. But yeah, for me, I didn't dig it. And after this month is over, I don't see myself going back and listening to Morello in that context. I just think he's so much better in a Rage Against the Machine context. He's just like,
and Audioslave.
And Audioslave, yeah. He's like an inspiration in that context. Like, everything he does, it's just so interesting. And as a guitarist as well, it's so interesting to see him do that. None of that crossed over. So I'm sorry. Why am I apologizing? Anyway, shall we select this month's victim?
Yeah, let's select a new album.
Okay, so I have the album I've selected, the random generator has selected, is okay. Now I don't like in typical Artifexian podcast form. I don't know which is the album and which is the artist, right? So we have Beach House and Depression Cherry.
Beach House is the band.
Beach House is the band, and Depression Cherry is the album. Do you have any? Do you know what these are? Do you know the context?
I know the name. They're kind of like sort of. I think they're kind of indie, but like not like real kind of grungy rocky indie. I think they're kind of like kind of maybe dreamy electro-y indie.
Oh, hipster music.
Maybe hipster music. Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
Can I make a? That's good. Actually, we haven't had any sort of like dreamy electro. That's cool. That'll make for an interesting change. Can I throw out a suggestion for the listeners to listen to?
No. Of course you can.
Alrighty then, next segment. There is a band a friend introduced me to called Volbeat. Did you ever hear of Volbeat?
I have, and I know that I mentally confused them with something else.
Volbeat are like, it's hard to describe. It's kind of like a 50s rock, Americana rock meets Metallica sort of band, except they're all Danish, and some of their songs.
This is the band I was thinking of.
Yeah, these are. If I'm going to be really, really harsh, these are a pastiche band. If I'm going to be more liberal, I'm like, they write really fun tunes.
Okay.
So for the listeners, worth checking out. And it's a really weird thing to hear Danish Americana. Like that is cool. Like it's a cool thing, I think. So there's my listening homework for you guys.
I'm going to say two things here.
Okay, first point. Start with your second point.
Well, my second point was that there's a very fun Finnish band that you can find on YouTube called Steve and Seagulls, who do like bluegrass covers of rock and metal songs.
Cool.
You should look up their cover of Thunderstruck by AC/DC. They do like a bluegrass cover of Thunderstruck that's really good.
Are they in a barn?
Yeah.
I know the cover. Class. Love
Isn't it great?
It's so good. I have a soft spot for bluegrass. I love bluegrass.
I think it's instrumentally really cool. I really like the timbre qualities of it.
And the harmonies. Oh, the harmonies. Man, there was this podcast is like digression central. Like, but I once did a radio show. When I was in college, I went on and played classical guitar for a bit. And
cool.
Yeah, and by Mr. Charlie McGettigan of Eurovision fame, who I know at least one Redditor on the sub idolizes and finds it really cool that I know this person. But I was on his show and I played my classical guitar, and after that there was a proper American bluegrass band, like they had flown in from America. And oh my god, like I realized some people maybe take this for advantage.
Take granted?
I realize some people might take this for granted if they live in the States, but when you don't have that authentic thing here, to be able to experience it in real life right in front of you, like that glorious 4-part harmony and like the acoustic shred that goes on is just I swear it was beautiful, like, and it's so much so that we were listening and Charlie turns around to me. I was sitting out of earshot of the microphones. And after they finished playing, he was like, "Wasn't that superb?" And I was like, I was in my own little world. Like it was like there's dead air for a while. I was like, "Yeah, oh yeah, Charlie, yeah, it was great, yeah." It was just so good, so good. Anyhow, so that was your second point. What's your first point?
Do you remember that? I think we watched the film Dead Snow.
Oh.
Dead Snow, the one with the Nazi zombies. The medical students go on a skiing holiday and there's Nazi zombies.
No, we didn't watch it.
Oh, okay. I thought I watched that with you.
Well, that was something that we were going to watch, but we watched something different.
What did we watch instead? Mega Shark?
No, we didn't watch Mega Shark. No, we watched something. Jesus, I remember it being a little bit like Skyrim.
The thing we watched?
Yeah.
Like a fantasy film?
Yeah, it was very much kind of like Celts out fighting. And
13th Warrior.
could be. That sounds familiar.
That was the one with Antonio Banderas
Yes.
as an Arab diplomat
Yes.
who gets sent away to the Vikings.
Yes, that is the one. That was cool.
That's such a stupid, great film.
So yeah,
I thought we watched Dead Snow when we lived together.
we we might have. Bill, that happened more than a week ago. I find it hard to remember these things.
Okay, well anyway, Dead Snow. It's a very fun film. I've given you the rundown already, but at the start of it, the music is it's a Norwegian film, so still in the kind of Northern Europe, Scandinavia area. The music is at the opening sequence is Norwegian country music, and I mean I'm not by no means a sophisticated listener of country music, but it sounds pretty authentic to me. Like it's a good pastiche of American country, and it's sung in Norwegian.
Cool.
Yeah,
Really cool.
that's quite fun. So I think they're actually they're quite good. Scandinavians to be quite good at adopting those styles and carrying them off quite well.
We said it last time. Well, I said it last time. Scandinavia, they're just good at everything.
Yeah.
There's hardly anything they do badly. It's just brilliant. Like
Tropical beaches.
yes. So Beach House, Depression Cherry shall be next month's victim.
Cool.
Awesome sauce. Cool. So what's left? Oh God, we've 2 hours. 2 hours every time. Every time. Yeah, so what's next on the agenda?
So what we have next is the World Building Challenge / Flag Corner.
Okay, so last time we asked people about what podcast episodes they enjoyed the most, and the feedback seemed to have been the ones that contain the most world building. Shock horror.
Who'd have thunk?
Who would have thunk it, eh? So in an effort to like we always talk about books and stuff, I think, but in an effort to bring back actual we are building a thing, I want to do sort of like a week, like a monthly challenge thing, Bill, with you, if that's okay.
That sounds good. What would it entail?
Whereby either we or the listeners set a task for us to do during the month, and we do it, and we talk about our creation the next month. Within reason. Like if we open up this to the listeners, be kind.
Yeah. Write a 36 entry novel series.
Yeah, like that can't happen. Or like
in high old Germanic.
but something small, doable that I think that people will be interested in and could take some value from. I think that's a good thing to do. So I was thinking I had two options for this month. To do a bit of cartography, and namely city maps or town maps, because we've been talking about cities and towns quite a bit. So maybe it might be cool for us to design a map to that effect. That's the first option. And the second option, because we haven't done flag corner in a while, is to design a flag. So city map or a flag. And the catch would be that they should be related to Handwavia and Dagger. So there is like a ongoing context to these things.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
Does that sound like a good idea?
Does sound like a good idea.
Oh, good. I'm not cutting this section. That's fantastic. So what are you thinking? Map or flag?
I actually have been working a little bit on a map and a kind of a description of a town, but that's actually related to my other project, not Handwavia. But the wheels are spinning, and I think I might make a Handwavia settlement.
Yeah?
Yeah.
On which of your planets? Because you have a whole host of planets.
On Handwavia itself.
On Handwavia itself. Cool. Because we need a place for all those ex-soldiers to go.
Well, I'm not doing that. I'm my own personal version of Handwavia is separate to the crossover. But listeners are free to play with it as they wish.
Hang on, is the crossover a listener thing, and we're just constructing our own little things, or what's going on? Like, in what universe does the crossover exist?
Yes.
I don't think. Could you hear me? Did it cut out there?
No, I heard you. I just don't really have an answer for that.
Yes. No, never mind. I'll cut that.
No, I thought it was funny. Leave it in.
So so you're going to do map. So I'll do flag then.
Okay, a bear flag.
There will be bears everywhere. So many bears. It's gonna be bearception. Bears within bears within bears. Deadly. I'll do a flag for something dagger related. Like I might do. I don't know. I could do a flag. Oh, I could do flags for like the different factions, like a rebel flag, a government flag. Could do something like that, or even just a city flag because like the city is an important place in Dagger. Something like that. Anyhow, so I think that will be the. Is that okay as a challenge for us to do?
That's fine by me.
Awesome. And I will say I think this is important. Sometimes it can be hard to like create stuff to a deadline.
Mm-hmm.
I think the unwritten assumption should be that we are totally allowed to not create something as well. Okay. And then like you can talk about why it didn't happen. Because I think that's an interesting thing to talk about as well. Like why is it that like when I attempted to do a city map, it just wouldn't work for me? Because in the discussing of why it failed, that could help someone out.
Yeah.
So I think that's good. So I don't think we should be under pressure because I especially don't want to put you under pressure where it's like, that must be done. Come on, you have homework to do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So, and then listeners, let us know if there's something you'd like us to do and we'll do the monthly challenge.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. Are we on to our last section?
We are on to our last section.
Oh, it's actually, no, technically this is the end of the show and we have to go into the green room now.
Okay.
It seems really strange going into green room because the last couple of episodes have just been entirely green room.
Well, it feels quite comfortable to me for that reason.
like an old friend. You're like,
yeah,
oh.
like a comfortable armchair that you've just broken in.
Oh yeah. It's very lonely in here. There's no Rory this time.
There's no Rory this time, no.
It's very poor. It's very, very poor. I enjoyed thoroughly listening back that and editing. Great, like he's just really funny. Anyway, so I have two things here in the green room. For the sake of time, let's do one of them. Which one of those things sounds the most appealing to you?
Well, I've been curious about what's been going on with this part of your life recently anyway, so let's hear about your tech venting.
Everyone who dislikes talking about Apple, turn away now. Okay, so do you know what's been going on in the Apple world recently?
I know the thing about the book.
Oh, the book. That is not even what I'm going to talk about, but that is something we should probably address.
Beyond that, and I know the thing about the headphone jack, although that's old news at this stage. I don't know beyond that, no.
Okay, right, so you don't know the thing
I don't really follow tech news.
Okay, so you don't know the thing that's been troubling me. Just really quickly. They've been doing some really stupid things recently, like some proper ridiculous things. And in the midst of doing some proper stupid, idiotic things, they released like a $300 vanity book, like a book of pictures of their products. No writing, just pictures. And it's $300 US. And like it's just so inappropriate. That is infuriating in and of itself. Not even what I was going to talk about, but that is just... These are the actions of a company gone completely insane.
I've got something kind of pithy and snarky.
Oh yeah, go for it. Bit of apple bashing.
I mean, I guess that's just, in fitting with their tradition of planned obsolescence. Because that book is going to be completely irrelevant in 18 months' time.
Nice. As an Apple user, I appreciate that.
And I know it's unfair to single Apple out because a lot of companies do that, but that's what were they thinking? That's a ridiculous.
It is like
idea.
It's utterly ridiculous. And you know what? The book comes in two sizes, like the iPhone, and it's one $200, one $300 one like that. And it's just like what?
Well, obviously, you want to get the $300 one. Like, no, I don't want to be seen with a little crappy little book.
Like, what? And I just don't understand what the point of that is. Like, fine if it's like, okay, it's never fine to charge $300 for a book, right? But if you're going to do that, maybe do that when there's a changing of guard. Like when Tim Cook steps down and you're like, a new era has been ushered in. Let's celebrate the change of guard with this like thing. But in the midst of just a run-of-the-mill year, nothing mad is happening, and in fact, it's a year where you're performing really poorly. they do this, like, and it does nothing to indenture them to the greater populace. Like, it's just awful. Like, anyhow, that's not what I wanted to complain about. What I wanted to complain about is their new MacBook Pros, right?
Okay.
All right. So, remember on the podcast ages ago, I talked about needing to get a new computer.
Yeah, and it had to be Apple.
And it had to be Apple because I was like in the ecosystem. I understood the OS. Like, this is the platform that I do my work on. Had to be Apple. And I didn't buy a new Apple computer because they were all out of date, severely out of date. And I was waiting for the upgrade so I can get a modernly spec'd computer.
Yeah.
The upgrade came. And the upgrade is the single most infuriating thing I had this like satisfaction of witnessing in a long time. It's awful. The computers look exactly the same as they did before. They're a little bit thinner, the usual sort of things. What they done was, the thing that affects me is they dropped all the ports. There are now 4 USB-C ports on the MacBook. No card reader, no MagSafe charger, no nothing. Just USB-C.
Wait, so you charge the laptop with USB?
You charge the laptop through USB. But the problem is, for someone like me who does video, I can't take my information from my camera and put it in to this new computer without buying, like, I don't know, a $100 dongle. And it's like, they've completely isolated the pro market. Like, these computers are useless to me. They're utterly useless. And it's like, I now
because they don't have the SD card reader or whatever.
Yeah, and they're not well spec'd as well. They're way overpriced. Like, the new 15-inch comes in at about 4K at the sort of levels of stuff that I would need in it. And it's just 4K. And you can go harder. Like, if you wanted 2 terabyte SSD or whatever, you can go more expensive again. But it's like, they now are a completely useless platform to me. And my hand has been forced, and now I'm actively looking out for a Windows computer to use. And I am willing to go through the sacrifice of, like, learning different software on those platforms, because Apple have completely and utterly isolated the pro market. And it's just, I don't understand the idiocy of management at the moment in Apple. It's just disgusting. The headphone jack is disgusting. Like, that's just... And everyone keeps defending it and being like, oh, it's not a money-grabbing thing. It's like them wanting to push for it. It's a money-grabbing thing. And that's what it is. And, like, let's call a spade a spade. It's just...
How... I mean, this isn't me defending them. I just don't understand how getting rid of all jacks bar the USB could be a money-grabbing thing, because it seems kind of irrelevant to that sphere. It just seems like a stupid thing to me.
Well, no, because in order to use all the products that still have those quote-unquote outdated connections, you have to buy them in dongle form.
Oh, right. So it's making people buy extra peripherals.
Exactly. So you go in and you buy your Mac, right? And you need to come out of the store with, like, an SD card reader peripheral. You need to come out with a peripheral. This is the worst thing. You need to come out with a peripheral that connects your new MacBook to your iPhone, because they don't have the same freaking ports, like.
Here.
You can't even within the Apple ecosystem connect up 2 Apple devices. Like, it's almost like a YouTube level of neglect. Like, YouTube are famously bad at doing anything on the platform. Like, their upgrades are largely useless. They always do stuff, and every creator on the platform are like, why on earth would that seem like a logical thing to do? And but
now creators can love people's comments to show them how much they appreciate the comment on the video.
Yeah, the little trivial, meaningless things where you're kind of like, yeah, but we don't care about that. What we care about is X, Y, and Z, like, and it takes them forever to roll it in. But so it's almost like Apple is doing that. It's like everyone sits around the table and they're like, you know, it'd be a great idea. Let's get rid of everything. And it's like, who thought that this is a good idea? It's just like, oh. So I'm like, and I'm really genuinely angry and upset, because OS, the Mac OS, I think, is a great operating system. And even Windows users complain that, you know, Windows kind of does weird things every so often. Like, upon shutdown, it decides to install like 250,000 updates and things like that. Nothing like that happens on Mac OS. Like, Mac OS is beautiful. Like, it really is a super clean and just wonderfully functional system. But it just comes wrapped now in like a $4,000 box of uselessness. And I have to go to Windows now and I have to relearn, and it's just not a nice time. I just want to pull it publicly. Apple obviously doesn't listen to this, but in the off chance that someone shares it with them or whatever, it's just let it be known, Apple. No one's happy with what you did.
It's part of the wider discussion.
Yeah, exactly.
Fine, yeah.
We need to normalize this is not okay. Like, every single professional needs to talk about this and make Apple perfectly aware that we're not willing to stand for this crap. Like, it's just...
I've an entirely spurious and unhelpful suggestion, Edgar. Do you want to hear it?
Go for it.
I don't think you should go to Windows.
Don't even do it, Bill. Don't even do it.
Don't even do what, Edgar?
You're gonna tell me to go to Linux, are you?
No, I was gonna say you should go analog, do everything by hand. Go back to film.
Shoot on 35mm.
35mm.
Yeah. Do you know what? Quite frankly, shooting on 35mm and doing it old school is probably more time efficient now than doing anything productive on a MacBook Pro. Oh. And it's like, sorry, one last thing, right? Like, for the lay person who has too much money and doesn't have the need for it, like, they would have no problem with there being like 4 USB-C things. Like, they don't care. It's fine, you know. Like, they don't need the high-powered things. So they should introduce these changes at the kind of consumer end, and then wait for everything to normalize in the market such that those connections become the standard, and then bump it up to the Pro range. But like, in the interim period, give the Pros a big hunkin' ugly disgusting looking laptop with like an Ethernet cable adaptation if you want quick upload speeds, the SD card reader. Give us all like give us 20 freaking ports sticking out of in every sort of weird angle. Like, we don't care about your stupid sense of form over function. Like, just allow us to work on your platform. That's all we want. It's just so bad. So I've been looking up, for those interested, currently I'm looking up the Dell XPS 15, I believe it is, with the top specs.
How much is that coming out at?
Oh, how much was that coming out at? Was it something just over $2,000? I think it was something just over $2,000. So I mean, like a $2,000 savings, and you can spec it higher than the MacBook, because you can't spec the MacBook that high because you can't fit that amount of specs in their beautifully thin body. It's like, Jesus!
You should get 2 of them.
Yeah, you have to get 2 MacBooks, exactly. It's like, it's just
no. You should get 2 of the Dells.
2 Dells.
Same price. Yeah.
I could do that, yeah, exactly. If I really wasn't bothered about specs, I could pick up like 20 little computers for the price of a MacBook. Like, it's just that one, and the Lenovo is a ThinkBook. I've heard a lot of people do CAD work on that, and I'm assuming, without doing too much research on this yet, CAD is a CPU intensive thing, and a graphically intensive thing. So that sounds great. For me as well, so I'm looking into these things. So I am like 90% ready to make the switch. The only thing that I'm worried about is just the time needed to learn new stuff. Like, it's like, oh, we need a new video from you, Edgar, next week. It's like, I'm really sorry, I need to learn how to use like Premiere Pro, because I can no longer use Final Cut because it's locked down on the thin sliver of over expensive metal. It's like,
right.
I'm sorry. It's just a massive rant, but it's so infuriating. Like, it's awful. Like, it's just
quite alright.
It's just so annoying. And like, and also like the iPhone again. Like the iPhone. Just I don't really care about the new iPhone because I'm not going to buy the thing. But like you can't charge your iPhone and listen to music at the same time.
What?
Because there's one port. There's one port. So unless you have wireless headphones, then you can. But if you have wired headphones, right? Like studio headphones, the way I do, you can't have the charger plugged in and plug in your adapter at the same time. It's just like, what is this even?
But that's fine. Like, you just need to like get an adapter.
You need an adapter for your. It's just like, this is how. Why are we? This is 2016. Like, why are we? This seems like this dongle-tastic sort of thing. This kind of seems like a 90s sort of thing. Like, I feel like we've transported back in time. like with adapters and oh god. And then just to go on even further, then like Apple defenders. And I like Apple. Like I'm in bed with Apple here, but I don't think I'm an Apple defender. But the people who are, they're like, oh, what's happening is they're selling you the naked robotic core, and it's up to you to adapt it to your needs. And you're like, will you shut up? Just what are you talking about? Like if you're gonna sell a naked robotic core, give it to me for a fraction of the price because you're omitting all of the stuff. Don't sell me a $4,000 naked robotic core.
That's a stupid thing to say. Whoever said it should feel stupid.
It came from some really notable tech podcasters. So if this ever, it'd be funny if it ever reaches them. They'd be like, "Oh, who's this? Who are these upstarts?
Who's this Bill McGrath chap?"
This Bill, or if the last episode is ending to go by, Bill McGarth.
Bill McGarth, yes. Thank you for that, Edgar. Getting my name wrong.
For the listeners, I put Bill. I misspelled Bill's name in the audio description, and he was not pleased. Anyhow, that's all I wanted to complain about, and I thought I'd drop on the show because we had talked before about getting new computers, and lots of people recommended Windows, and now I'm seriously thinking about it.
Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so and also it's good to get these things off my chest because most people don't care. They're like, is it not just a computer? And you're like, no, it's not. It's not just a computer. It's like, why do you care about a CPU that's 2.8 gigahertz as opposed to 2.6? And you're like, I just care. I just leave it. I just care.
Because numbers are better.
Yeah,
some numbers are better than some other numbers.
Yeah, that's kind of what you resort to, like. So anyhow, that's all I want to talk about. Thank you, Bill.
You're very welcome.
Does that end our show?
I think that ends the show.
Oh boy, it's been a weird episode. I promise, dear listener, next month will be a very world building heavy month because we're literally going to be world building. So that'd be a good thing. Also, there is a small chance we may not have a Christmas episode out.
That we may not.
We may not. So, do we want to take the time to wish everyone a happy Christmas? I think we probably should.
I mean, we can do it anyway, and I suppose if there is a Christmas episode, that's fine.
Yeah. So, happy Christmas, everyone.
Happy Christmas, everyone. I suppose this will be out only like a couple of weeks before Christmas because it's the 4th now. So yeah, it'll be that's an acceptable time to wish people Christmas.
Yeah, actually, well, when can I start wishing people a happy Christmas on the streets? Like
the 28th.
You heard
them in early.
You heard it here first, folks. Oh, wait, you mean the 28th of November?
No, December. Get it in real early.
Yeah. So happy Christmas, everyone. Thanks for sticking around for another year.
Yeah.
Well, I remember this is our second Christmas episode, so people have been here. Some people have been here for over a year, and that's
because we were a little way into it when we'd had a good few episodes out when we went to see The Force Awakens, and we did our Force Awakens episode.
We did.
So that's almost a year ago now. It's just shy of a year ago.
Isn't that mental?
No. I think you should come down again, and we should go see Rogue One if you're able to get the time from work.
I was totally going to suggest that.
Excellent.
When is Rogue One being released?
Soon.
Yeah, I'll go into work. I need to get off work soon. When? I don't know. Bill says soon. No, we should totally make that happen. I'll see if I can get down.
Cool.
Excellent. Okay, right, folks. Happy Christmas. I will see yous likely on the other side of Christmas. So have a great one. Happy New Year. All the other jazz. And Bill, same to you if I don't talk to you.
And same to you, Edgar.
Do you want to do the Edgar out? One.
Edgar out.
Oh, don't do the countdown. 1, 2, 3. Edgar out.
Edgar out.